DYKB Bacolod, DYKC Cebu, DXKS Surigao, DXKD Dipolo, DXKO Cagayan de Oro, DXKT Davao, DXKP Pagadian, DXXX Zamboanga, DXDX General Santos.
RPN Radio Philippines Network.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, Senator Bongo's presidential bid no longer a go. The administration backs out from the race to Malacanang, saying his decision had to do with his family and President Duterte. 2.5 million and counting as the national COVID-19 vaccination program continues for the second day. The government says it is confident it will achieve its target of vaccinating a total of 9 million people by tomorrow. And with the threat of the new Omicron coronavirus variant, the government is studying the possible return of the controversial face shields in areas under lower alert levels. Well, the man whose main promise was to carry on with the legacy of the Duterte administration is backing out of the 2022 presidential race. Senator Bongo made the announcement this morning, almost a week after hinting at possible changes in his electoral bid. Our Trish Terada tells us what made Go arrive at his decision.
In another quick turn of events, Senator Bongo announces he's dropping out of the presidential race. Although nothing is formal yet, he explains his decision had to do with his family.
Ayaw rin talaga ng aking pamilya. Kaya naisip ko na siguro ay hindi ko pa po panahon sa ngayon. Diyos lang po ang nakakaalam kung kailan talaga ang tamang panahon ko. Ayaw ko rin pong lalong maipit si Pangulong Duterte. Higit pa po sa tatay ang pagmamahal ko sa kanya. Matanda na po siya at marami na siyang naibigay sa bayan, kung kaya't ayaw ko nang dagdagan pa ang kanyang problema. Nananatili akong tapat sa kanya at nangako akong sasamahan ko po siya habang buhay.
Go initially ran for vice president, but before the deadline for substitution, he replaced the presidential bet of the PDDS party after Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte substituted as Lakas CMD's vice presidential contender. Sara also teamed up with presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos. Go says no one pressured him to back out of the race.
In the past few days, I realized that my heart and my mind are contradicting my own actions. Talagang nagre-resist po ang aking katawan, puso at isipan. I am willing to make the supreme sacrifice for the good of our country and for the sake of unity among our supporters and leaders.
Go made the announcement after he and President Duterte attended the commemoration of the 158th birthday anniversary of Filipino hero Andres Bonifacio Tuesday morning.
But destiny has a way of turning things around. Just like the great Andres Bonifacio, the president who never was. Bonifacio had every great opportunity to lead our country as our president after leading a revolutionary movement that started our quest for liberty. But destiny had something different for him. Sa ngayon, handa po ako magsakripisyo alang-alang sa kapakanan ng ating bayan at ni Pangulong Duterte.
Go says it's too early to say who will be the administration's new bet. He says he'll go for someone who will continue the legacy of President Duterte. For now, the former presidential aide of Mr. Duterte says he will continue serving the people in his capacity as a senator. Trisha Terada, CNN Philippines.
The Commission on Elections says Go can back out from the 2022 race anytime until May 9, Election Day. But unlike before, he can no longer nominate a replacement. COMELEC explains the deadline for voluntary substitutions expired on November 15. The earliest time Go can file for withdrawal before the agency's law department is on Wednesday, December 1st, since today is a holiday. Now, following Bongo's withdrawal of his electoral bid, the party that fielded the center as presidential bet says it is open to all options. Members of Federalismo ng Dugong Dakilang Samahan will meet today and will also talk to its affiliate, the ruling PDP Laban Party. PDDS founder Greco Belhica says they respect Go's decision, but they now need direction. He adds there's no plan yet who among the presidential candidates to support.
Well, right now, it's until we sit down with our leaders and our principal, the President and Senator Bongo, wala muna kami iniisip na gano'n. All options are open, and whatever is going to be best for the country and best for the party.
The president of PDP Laban faction, Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, also expressed full support for Go. He said he's sure the center has a good reason behind his decision. Presidential aspirant Leody de Guzman believes Go pulling out of the race will only boost the Marcos-Duterte tandem, while another hopeful, Senator Ping Lacson, only wishes his fellow senator good luck. Lacson says the important question now is who will be the administration candidate. He says Congressman Pantaleon Bebot Alvarez, president of his party, the Partido Reforma, has been in constant communication with Cusi, but only on a personal level. Lacson adds he's not aware of the extent of their talks, but when asked if he is open to be the administration candidate, he had this to say.
Mahirap sagutin yung tanong mo. Sabi ko kami dalawa ni SP, determinado kami, no? Sabi nga namin, maski sino pang kaharap namin, tuloy-tuloy lang kami, no? An endorsement is an endorsement, no? No matter kung ano yung kine-carry ng endorsement, it's still an endorsement. Doon na lang muna tayo, but mahirap sagutin yung open or willing or will seek, but definitely we will not seek endorsement kasi masyadong presumptuous on our part.
Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, meanwhile, says he is willing to be endorsed by President Duterte, hoping that more national and local officials will support his presidential bid. While he will not preempt any endorsement from Malacanang or any other officials, Moreno says he's always hopeful. As for presidential aspirant Senator Manny Pacquiao, he thinks nothing is final yet about Go's withdrawal, but he says he respects the decisions of other hopefuls. Pacquiao adds he and his team are focused on how to uplift the lives of poor Filipinos. The aspirant visited San Francisco town in Agusan del Sur, where another crowd of supporters welcomed him. In photographs, some were seen without face masks, others were not wearing them properly, and they also failed to observe physical distancing. While it is still unclear who the administration's new presidential bet will be, aspirant Bongbong Marcos vows to continue President Duterte's trademark infrastructure program. Now, that's despite Mr. Duterte recently criticizing the former senator, calling him a weak leader and a spoiled child. Marcos made the promise in a speech before a sea of supporters in eastern Samara's Borongan city. He was with his running mate, presidential daughter Sara Duterte. Marcos said continuing the Build, Build, Build program will be part of his COVID-19 post-pandemic jobs creation plan for residents of Eastern Visayas. More changes unfolding in the months leading to the 2022 presidential race. One aspirant facing at least 4 petitions opposing his presidential run and another withdrawing days after admitting possible changes to his bid. What happens next? We get the views of political analyst Antonio Contreras and sociologist Ash Presto. Catch Politics as usual tonight at 8:30, only here on CNN Philippines. Well, platforms or popularity, Filipinos are weighing in on which candidates they will likely vote for with less than 6 months to go before the 2022 polls. Stanley Gahete has that story.
46-year-old eatery owner Jinky Kawe believes popularity should be one of the attributes of a candidate.
Yung kilala na siya, yung alam na ng buong tao kung ano yung nagawa niya sa bansa.
Barangay Coordinator Epifania Escultor wants a candidate who experienced poverty.
Naniniwala po ako pag ang tao po ay nanggaling po sa hirap at ang puso niya ay nasa masa, tsak, aasinso ang Pilipinas at maganda ang pamamalakad.
A few more months before the 2022 national and local elections, voters have begun forming their criteria for choosing their candidate. Some prefer a man for the masses, while others believe the contender should be popular, a celebrity with name recall, even if they are unsure if the candidate will do well in public service. These sentiments are reflected in the results of a recent survey by the social weather stations for strat-based ADR Institute on the preferences of Filipino voters. Among the preferred candidates are old names in politics such as Chisa Escudero, Alan Peter Cayetano, Noren Legarda, Mig Zubiri, and Jojo Binay. Only 2 out of 12 are not familiar names in politics. These are broadcast journalist Rafi Tulfo and actor Robin Padilla.
The rules of the game always focuses on who's popular. It's always about name recall. That's the unfortunate reality of Philippine politics.
While popularity is important, political scientist Karl Mark Ramota says voters should not invest on it, but rather on the candidates' plans for the country.
The stories revolve primarily around who is going to file their candidacy, who will win, who is more popular, who is winnable, instead of asking the questions, what principles do they represent? What issues do they intend to focus on? What type of campaign or message are they going to deliver?
It's a different thing for Taho vendor Helacio Lopez, who has been a registered voter for more than 20 years.
Pag-artista, hindi ko ibuboto yun. Ngayon, marami ako ibuboto yung mga bago na alam kong makakatulong sa bansa.
But Lopez is aware of the downside of voting unpopular candidates.
Pag binuboto ko yung mga hindi sikat, talo.
Ramota says voters should not be blamed, but the existing political culture. While educating voters is important, a broader political reform is necessary.
They must be able to translate their message in a language that can be easily understood by the common tao.
Stanley Guedes, CNN Philippines.
Presidential aspirant and labor leader Leody de Guzman marked Bonifacio Day by leading a protest in the city of Manila, which was supposedly blocked by police. Demonstrators said police got in their way as they were marching to Liwasan Bonifacio and then to Mendiola this morning. They slammed authorities for supposedly disrupting their activities. Other labor groups also barred from holding a program along España Boulevard. Police say the groups had no permits and were not allowed to hold demonstrations along the busy road. The cops add the protesters parked their truck in a no parking zone. The Manila city government, for its part, denies it was ordered to block the protests. It says there was only a miscommunication between police and demonstrators and that it had no intention of holding back any group from holding their programs. Up ahead on Newsnight, a look at day 2 of the national COVID-19 vaccination drive. And is the face shield policy about to return because of the Omicron variant? We'll find out after the break. You're watching CNN Philippines.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. DXKD Dipolo Radio Ronda.
Quincentenary Faith Rewind.
Ferdinand Magellan died in the hands of Dato Lapu-Lapu in the Battle of Mactan. Spanish navigator Juan Sebastian Elcano took command of the voyage, which finally reached the Spice Islands. To date, the expedition is also known as Magellan-Elcano Expedition.
KBP marks 500 years of Christianity and this station.
Honorable Angel Halusos Carion, Batanon, Buutan of Malagaron, City Councilor of the Pitan City, Chairman, Committee on Tourism, Committee on Labor, Committee on Child Welfare and Development. Honorable Angel Halusos Carion, Batanon, Buutan of Malagaron, City Councilor of the Pitan City.
News Recap Pupong on board. Pangitabo sa tulo ka distrito sa Zamboanga del Norte, kalambuan sa politika, showbiz o agrikultura. News Recap Pupong on board. Kinilang sa Radio Ronda alas 6 ngato sa alas 9 adlawng Domingo.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. DXKD Dipolo Radio Ronda.
It produces an average volume of 160 million liters per day for around 165,000 households. It also has a maximum capacity of 388 million liters per day. This meets the increasing water demand of Bulaqueños. The project also cuts down the use of deep wells, helping mitigate the environmental impact of excessive groundwater extraction. The Bulacan RPN Bulk Water Supply System project provides Bulakeños the affordable and reliable potable water supply they need.
Ano ba talaga ang tunay na astig? That's Red Horse for you. Iba ang sipa.
In Red Horse, we use a blend of malted barley and cereals. The key to brewing an extra strong beer is to convert the carbohydrates into fermentable sugars. And in Red Horse, we use a carefully selected yeast strain, one that is very robust.
This full-flavored lager is multi-awarded. Over the years, Red Horse has garnered awards from Mont Selection and the Australian International Beer Awards. Red Horse clearly is on fire. From video conferencing to virtual happy hours with family and friends, you'll get a kick out of the freshness and boldness of Red Horse.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. It is day 2 of the massive national vaccination drive. Data is starting to trickle in from the provinces. The government says 2.5 million people were inoculated on the first day. And as Caroline Bonkin reports, it is confident of reaching 9 million by tomorrow.
Young and old, residents of Bulacan Province aged 12 and up lined up at vaccination sites on the second day of the government's massive vaccination drive. Many are here to finally get their first dose.
Nakita ko na po kasi yung nagiging effect po na positive po sa mga region po ng Pilipinas po. Tsaka po para na rin po sa face-to-face classes para po ready na rin po.
Everyone gets a grocery package, but what convinced Benjamin Aruta most is his need for a vaccination card.
Ang sabi po kasi nila, priority na raw ngayon yung vaccination card. Baka kasi pumunta ako ng mga kapatid ko sa Cavite, Maynila, baka hindi mapasakay daw ng bus. Talagang ayaw ko kasi na marami rin ng agam-agam.
But other residents like Hil Yabaw are still at home, still unsure if they want to get vaccinated.
Hindi yan bawal na yung nagagamot. Kasi gagamot ako sa sa baga. Hindi pa ako nagpaano sa doktor.
So far, the province has fully vaccinated 45% of its target population. The governor hopes to bring its vaccine coverage to 70% by Wednesday. They even accept walk-ins.
Pag hindi dumating yung mga naka-registered, yun ang ibibigay namin sa walk-in kasi kinakailangan na ibigay na yun.
Although short on target, Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez is satisfied with the first day's turnout. Over 2.5 million vaccinees, the biggest single-day record. Of these, over 2 million came for a first dose.
Objective is being achieved considering that we are trying to collect all those unvaccinated. Malaking accomplishment na yun.
Many regions had about 100,000 vaccinees. Around 300,000 were inoculated in Calabarzon and Central Luzon. But Cordillera and Bangsamoro regions are behind with only nearly 40,000 vaccinees each.
Vaccine preference ang isa. Second issue talaga yung hesitancy ng mga seniors natin. And also third is yung accessibility. Talaga nakita natin na yung mga areas ng BARM is nasa island provinces. And this is also a continuing challenge.
Health officials hope the vaccine education drives in communities are enough to convince the remaining unvaccinated population to take the shot. Caroline Bonkin, CNN Philippines.
In some areas in Metro Manila, you can go to restaurants to get your COVID shot, like in this fast food chain in Pasay City, where one floor has been transformed into a makeshift vaccination site for the 3-day immunization drive. City officials say walk-ins and non-residents are also accepted. You only have to present your ID card and barangay clearance if you live in Pasay.
Okay naman, so far so good naman. Wala namang problem na nakikitaan. Kasi marami talaga kaming sites din eh. Taga Paranaque ako, so dapat sa Ayala Mall po. Tapos nakita ko may mga pila dito. Pumunta lang ako dito.
Officials advising vaccinees to come in early to avoid long lines and waiting time. Hundreds of minors aged 14 and above flocked to a vaccination center in Alabat, Quezon on the second day of the national vaccination drive. Our George Quiles has that story and other vaccine updates in the town.
This long line leads to the vaccination center in Alabat, Quezon Province. It's the first pediatric vaccination against COVID-19 in the island. The government allotted 588 doses of Moderna vaccines to minors aged 14 to 17 here on the second day of the national vaccination drive. Some of the vaccinees are nervous, like 16-year-old Arabella Villanueva.
Kinakabahan po.
Bakit?
Hindi ko po alam.
Pero ikaw, okay lang sa'yo magpabakuna ka?
Opo.
Bakit?
Para po mas maging pong protektada po.
Her mother, Robeline, was the one who encouraged her to get vaccinated, hoping to have extra protection should the school reopens for face-to-face classes.
Kampante po ako. Pero mas gustuhin ko pa rin po na yung patuloy pa po yung face shield tsaka face mask.
Parents and guardians were also given the chance to get inoculated as well. AstraZeneca and Sinovac vaccines were given to adults. But the available vials of AstraZeneca vaccine in Alabat are set to expire today.
Today, ang nakalagay doon sa expiration na sabi, nagtanong na rin sa province yung aming public health nurse at para maklarify kung pwede pang gamitin, pwede pa raw.
Hindi na tayo nagda-deploy ng mga ganong mga expiring vaccine. I believe yung mga dinideploy natin doon are really those mesial clap na I will check kung yung nangyari sa Alabat. But I believe yung dinideploy natin yung mga expiring vaccine ay kukunti lang naman yan eh. I think the remaining is 30,000 already. So ngayon, ang natin is we are closely monitoring it.
CNN Philippines learned that Alabat Mayor Fernando Mesa, who recently recovered from COVID-19, has yet to be inoculated. In a text message, Mesa says he's just waiting for his doctor's go signal for him to get vaccinated. From Alabat, Quezon, George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
The country logs 425 new COVID-19 cases, the lowest daily count since July 2nd last year. Active cases now stand at 15,800. The latest figures push the nationwide tally to more than 2,800,000. Survivors climb to more than 2,700,000, while fatalities rise to over 48,500. Today's tally excludes data from 6 laboratories. But research group Okta says a surge may happen in the first quarter of next year if the new COVID-19 variant of concern, Omicron, enters the country. Okta adds it may likely hit rural areas harder or places with low immunization rates. The group urges the government to ensure optimal allocation of doses. The Genome Center, meanwhile, sees the need to check older COVID-positive samples to trace possible Omicron cases in the country. Executive Director Cynthia Saloma says a team will begin reviewing from early November when a new variant was detected in South Africa. Saloma adds the country has not yet detected Omicron after checking 18,000 samples. The health department earlier urged local governments to return to using RT-PCR tests so that samples can be sent to the Genome Center. The government is looking into requiring the use of face shields again as a, quote, added protection amid the threat of the new variant, but AC Nichols tells us many are against it.
Rodolfo Aboga spends most of the day on the road. As a tricycle driver, he says not having to wear a face shield is a huge relief and admits he mostly wore it on his head before.
Gawa ng yung init, pag malakas yung init, yung sa face shield, umaano rin sa mata. As yung nagpapawis yung face shield, nalalabo rin, kaya ang ginagawa, naiaangat din. Kaya mas magandang wag na lang.
The government just recently scrapped the face shield mandate in areas under low alert levels. Though there is a possibility this won't last long amid the threat of the new Omicron coronavirus variant. President Duterte insists the face shield can give extra protection.
Prudence would just dictate that maybe we'll be strict again that kayo ang task force. You have to sort it out whether we have to reimpose the shield Kasi nakadagdag talaga.
Some people see it the same way. They believe it wouldn't hurt to be extra careful.
Para lang maprotektahan tayo kasi medyo nakakatakot yung bagong variant eh. Okay lang sa akin.
Nakasanayan na rin po. Tas talaga sinisigurado ko po na safe po ako habang nasa labas.
Most, though, do not agree. For them, the face shield is just a hassle.
Masakit din dito kasi eh. Masakit siya. Saka siguro pag-iingat na lang din na hindi na para maiwasan na yung pagkakaroon ng yung face shield, yung pagsusuot.
Hirap talaga huminga, ma'am. Sa totoo lang, hirap talaga huminga. Pero kung ibabalik nila, wala naman po tayong magagawa.
Pag pumasok ka siguro sa mga mall, pero sa pag-drive disturbo, malaking disturbo sa amin.
Some local officials are against it as well, particularly those who were the first to scrap the face shield mandate in their city.
Kung pagagastusin lang natin ng taong bayan na wala namang suporta ng siyensya na ito'y nakakatulong, they have to think twice.
The face shield has always been a hot topic among Filipinos. Even health experts are divided, with some saying there is little data showing its effectiveness. For now, the president said he will leave it up to the pandemic task force to decide on the matter. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
The World Health Organization says it is not backing the reimposition of the face shield policy as the transmission dynamics of Omicron are still being studied. Instead, the body emphasized the importance of wearing face masks, observing physical distancing, and practicing hand hygiene. Now, the new variant has now spread to at least 19 countries and territories, according to data compiled by CNN. A government official confirms Japan has detected its first Omicron case. State broadcaster NHK reports the infected person was a man in his 30s who recently arrived from Namibia. He tested positive for the virus on Sunday and is under quarantine. Germany, meanwhile, reported its first Omicron case without a travel history. Health officials said a 39-year-old man from Leipzig was diagnosed with the variant, but he did not travel abroad recently or had contact with anyone who went overseas. Still ahead on Newsnight, less than 2 weeks left until the Miss Universe coronation night. We get updates on Beatriz Luigi Gomez's arrival in Israel. Keep it here on CNN Philippines.
Ronda Balita. Mga balitang may kamatuuran, way gidapigan o hilisgutanan sa katawhan. DXKD Ronda Balita. Mga labas nga mga balita gikan sa sinaligang mga tinugdagan. Balitang hinimo sa lawak balitaanan. Diin inyong madungog ang mga balitang lokal, regional, national o international o uban pang may kalabutan sa atong kadalilimban. Gihatod kaninyo live gikan sa RPN DXKD Radio Ronda Broadcast Center. DXKD Ronda Balita. Inyong madungog matag adlang Lunes hangtod Biyernes alas 12 hangtod sa alas 2 sa kahaponon ug makita usab sa RPN DXKD Dipolog Facebook page, YouTube ug sa Twitter. DXKD Ronda Balita.
DXKD Dipolog Radio Ronda.
Chicken templados. Pre-marinated, it is made from fresh chicken. It is so easy to prepare and super delicious. Also high in protein, which helps boost our immune system. Get your Magnolia ready-to-cook chicken templados from Magnolia Chicken Stations in chicken tocino flavor and the chicken teriyaki.
Sa pagbangon ng mga Pilipino, saludo ako sa mga taong patuloy na humaharap sa hamon ng pagbabago.
Bilang isang ina, handa akong gawin ang lahat para sa kaligtasan ng aking mga anak.
Banding naman, tuloy pa rin ang serbisyo para malinis ang kapaligiran. Serbisyong publiko para sa kaligtasan ng lahat.
Sa panahon ng krisis, ikaw, ako, magtulungan tayo. Saludo ako sa Pilipino.
This is the Manila Bulletin, traversing time and truth since 1900. The newspaper with a century-long legacy of standing witness to the country's history and development. Today, the Manila Bulletin strives to make the nation be fully informed. And the Manila Bulletin will continue to inform, inspire, empower, telling timely stories and timeless truths through this century and beyond.
A weak explosion was recorded at Mount Pinatubo in Zambales earlier today. Captain Alges Las Marias of Philippines Air Asia took these shots overlooking the volcano. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology said signals of the explosion were recorded between 12:09 and 12:13 p.m. Volks warning the public to refrain from going to the volcano at this time. Local governments also advised to keep people from entering the Pinatubo crater area until the source of the explosion has been determined. Now, Miss Universe Philippines Beatriz Luigi Gomez landing in Israel over the weekend, and very quick to give fans an update. The pageant queen is in quarantine while waiting for her COVID-19 test results. Israel barred the entry of foreign travelers because of the Omicron variant, but it has not backed out of hosting the Miss Universe event on December 12. Gomez says she looks forward to the competition and asks for prayers for the contestants' safety.
I know you guys have heard the news. Pray for our safety, guys. We really want this competition to push through. We've all worked hard to get here, and I'm just excited to see some of the girls. Well, I saw some of them yesterday. We bonded a bit, but it's quite bitin because they had to quarantine us. So excited for the next few days.
Miss Universe France Clemence Botino tested positive for COVID-19 upon arrival in Israel. Organizers say the event is pushing through. For now, Botino is staying in quarantine for 10 days before getting tested again. We have 25 days before Christmas, and that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Quincentenary Faith Rewind.
The image of Santo Niño may have come from Michelin, Flanders, now part of Belgium. There are surviving images that resemble the one in Cebu from 16th century Flanders. King Charles I of Spain grew in Flanders and must have obtained and given images of the Santo Niño for the expedition.
KBP marks 500 years of Christianity and this station.
Libre ang proteksyong kaya nating ibigay para sa ating mga healthcare workers. Para mabawasan ang bilang ng mga na-ospital dahil sa COVID-19, maging bayani para sa ating mga bayani at magpabakuna na. Sama-sama tayo sa National Vaccination Day ngayong darating na November 29 hanggang December 1. Magparehistro na sa inyong LGU at makiisa sa Bayanihan Bakunahan. Ligtas lakas buong Pinas.
Dapitan City Councilor Jezebel Bing Balisado, konsihal sa Dakbayan sa Dapitan nga dali duulon og maabibihon sa iyang mga katawhan. Konsihal Bing Balisado maluluyon og matinabangon sa tanang higayon. Konsihal Bing Balisado sa Dakbayan sa Dapitan.
DXTV Dipolo Radyo Ronda.
Filipino Taekwondo legend and former Congressman Monsur Del Rosario is eyeing a Senate seat in the 2022 elections. And he joins us now live here on New Day. Good morning, Monsur. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ria. Good morning to all your televiewers. This is really so early. I hope my mind's working right now, but it's nice to be invited to your at least your portion of the show.
Right. Welcome to our world, as they say. Okay. Now, you've worn a lot of hats before coming to this. You're a bemedaled athlete, an Olympian, an actor, a seasoned public servant, because you were counselor and congressman of Makati. What now inspired or pushed you to seek a national post in the Senate?
Well, Ria, there's a group of people behind me that I would say probably since 2018. They were already pushing me to try and go for the national seat. And of course, I was very hesitant in 2018 because I said, I wanted to try another term of being in Congress. And then I was unfortunate enough that I didn't make my second run because I opted on running for vice mayor in due respect to the vice president who ran for Congress in 2019. So in this election, I was thinking I would go back to Congress again. But they were very adamant in telling me that sayang daw my national name, my being a national icon, sayang daw my being a living legend. Why don't I go for a national position? And they brought me around the Philippines, basically more on the Visayas and Mindanao area, and tested me with people in 5th class municipalities, 4th class municipalities. And when people recognized me, they said, you're still known, and you have a name, and you have a good track record, and we believe in your integrity and your honor. Why don't you try and give it a shot? You can do so much, and we need fresh faces, new people, new blood, new perspective in the Senate, and people are clamoring for this. And of course, when I get together with my friends in high school, grade school, and college, they always tell me, Mon, why don't you try and go for a national position? And I said I wanted to do maybe one more term in Congress, and they said, no, you're almost 60 years old. You got enough experiences and wisdom, and we need new leaders. So eventually, I guess I got really convinced, and we met with some leaders from different sectors of society, and they were saying that we will support you, we will back you up, just give it a shot. And I said, okay. So I said, eventually, of course, I prayed about it, and I said, well, heck, let's just do it. If it's really what people really want from me to do, so here I am.
Right. Now you're running under the Ping Lacson Tito Soto tandem. We have a plethora of political parties here in the Philippines. What made you decide to join their team in particular?
Well, actually, Ria, it was them who approached me. Their group and the people behind them, and the people that were behind me are basically in contact with each other. And they said, Mon, may kakayahan ka, may katapatan, may katapangan, yung mga katangian na hinahanap namin sa isang kandidato. And other groups did not approach me. They eventually approached me after I filed my COC, but I thought I could be a guest candidate like other candidates could be. But apparently, they kind of want me to be exclusive, pledge allegiance to them. And I can't do that because I already gave my word to Senator Ping Lacson, who's running for president, and Senate President Tito Soto, who's running for vice president. And, I thank them for having faith in me, even before I filed my COC, that they really wanted me in their slate.
All right, can you tell us more about your platform and the advocacies that you'll be pushing for, Monsieur? What will be your area of focus if indeed you are elected as senator?
Well, I don't know if you know about this, Ria, but when I was in Congress, I was there for 3 years, and I drafted 292 bills and resolution in 3 years. And I made a lot of bills and resolutions that are pending that I want to push forward if I make it to the Senate. And one of my proudest bills is the Telecommuting Act. A lot of people don't know this, but the reason why you can work from home is because of the law and the bill that I passed that has, being used now in the pandemic. And back then, I was thinking of just alleviating the traffic. I did that in my 7th month in office, and it's wonderful that the Filipino people are using it now. But one of the laws or the platforms that I really want to push, if I make it, is to help our frontliners, especially the nurses, stay in the Philippines, give them a better salary, give them better benefits. We all realize how important they are during this pandemic, and let's face it, Filipinas, nurses are #1 in the world. That's why countries like the United States, Germany, in Europe, in England, Australia, they're getting our nurses because they're really good. So one thing I want to do is really take care of them, give them a chance to stay in the Philippines, maybe closer. The gap between them being away and here, maybe I'll make the gap closer for them to stay here, be with their families. That's one. Second is agriculture. I mean, I don't know if people know, but I was born in Manila. I was raised in Negros Occidental. I'm really basically a provinciano, an Ilonggo provinciano, and agriculture was part of my life growing up. And I want to help farmers. I have a law that I made in when I was in Congress, the Irrigation Act. Something I have it here in my papers, but I don't want to go through it. I want to help them with their work, and let's face it, our country really is in bad shape right now.
Yeah,
and if I can do anything to contribute to solve
that nurses and farmers really do need help. But we've only got a little bit of time left, Monsieur. I want to talk a little bit of politics. What is your take on Mayor Sara Duterte's latest political move? What does it mean, especially for you and your presidential and vice presidential candidates?
Well, Ria, we don't really bother with what other groups do and how they go about with their realigning or their positions, and how they go about with how they want to campaign or what they do, what they say. Basically, if you notice with Senator Ping and Senate President Tito Soto, they just go out there and show what they can give, what they can deliver, and what they have done and what they want to do. And basically, it's the same with me. I really don't want to comment and say anything what these people are doing. I'm just focusing on what I can give, what I can show, what I can offer. And, I am an option in case I know I'm going up against senatorial veterans, candidates that have been there, seasoned. I know I'm the underdog. I know I'm the dark horse. But that's fine with me because I've always been the underdog most of my life, and sometimes we fall and sometimes we deliver, and we rise to the challenge.
Okay, Monsieur, now let's talk about some of today's pressing issues. Really quickly, regarding the COVID response, how would you help manage the health crisis? You already mentioned how you want to help the nurses.
Well, I'm not a doctor. Okay, I'm not a health expert. Definitely, I would really take the experienced health experts, the doctors that know what to do, the persons that are capable and competent to handle this crisis, and consult with them, collaborate with them, and get the best solution to get out of this problem. if I listen to different doctors that I know, I know they have a lot of solutions to the problem, except sometimes I think they're afraid to talk, and maybe with me being in a position that I can voice out for them, and then I would voice out for them. But personally, for me, I don't want to say, because like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a health expert. I'm a fitness expert, but not a health expert with what's happening right now with the pandemic.
Now, given the cost of mounting a Senate bid, it is your first national race. How do you plan to fund your campaign, Monsur?
Well, I'm part of the Reforma Partido group. They've been taking care of me, wherever Senate President Tito Soto goes and Senator Ping Lacson goes, they bring me along. There are certain people who are who are helping me with with T-shirts and tarpaulins, and I'm thankful that they're doing that. So I really I'm just hoping and praying that there will be more people that will believe in me and support me during this challenge that I'm facing in this upcoming elections and this journey that I'm facing right now. So win or lose, I'm ready to go to battle with the race.
Yeah. Speaking of going to battle, this next part of our interview is sort of like a lightning round. Okay, we just need a yes or no answer from you. No explanations, simply yes or no. Okay, so I'm going to go through the questions really quickly. Do you favor easier public access to the SALNs of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress?
I do. When I was in Congress, my SALN was public. Okay. Everybody knew.
So that's a yes. Do you support?
It's a yes. Yeah.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution? Yes or no?
Again.
Do you?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
That's all right. Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution? Yes or no?
Lifting? Sorry, I can't hear you. So.
That's all right. The ownership limits in the Constitution, foreign ownership limits.
Yes.
Do you favor the reimposition of the death penalty for drug-related crimes?
Maybe the drug cartels and the drug importers, not the little ones, not the poor
so that's
drug pushers.
Kind of a yes. Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
Of course, yes.
Should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Oh yeah, of course, yes.
All right, Monsur, that is all we have time for. But thank you once again so much for joining us. That was senatorial aspirant Monsur Del Rosario.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. DXTD Dipolo Radio Ronda.
Paturagas. Watod kaninyo sa mga labas ng mga balita. Paturagas. Mga balitang gikan sa lokal, regional ug nasyonal nga mga tinubdan. Paturagas. Biskot sa bisan unsang hilisgutanan nga may kalabigitan sa katawhan. Paturagas. Inyong mabati din hilamang sa RPN DXTD Dipolo 1053 sa dial sa inyong mga radyo. Ang tulumanong Paturagas
inyong mabati matag alas 8 ngadto na sa alas 9 sa buntag,
Lunes hangtod Biyernes.
Kalandraka tulumanon nga kulbahinam sa mga suking tigpaminaw, mga tigmo nga nagtangag sa premiong makalingaw. Kalandrakas musabwag-usab sa mga impormasyon nga may kalambigitan sa kalambuan o kayuhan sa katawhan. Kalandrakas mualagad kaninyo. Kalandrakas.
DXTD Dipolo Radio Ronda.
You're watching the
source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, Vice Presidential Aspirant and Senate President Tito Soto. Tito Sen, this is the part where we go up close and personal with you. This is what, these are the questions, just answerable by yes or no. At tinatanong po namin to sa lahat ng nai-interview namin ng mga kumakandidato. So, let me begin. It's just a yes or no answer. Do you favor easier public access to SALNs of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress?
Again, sorry, what was that? Do I favor?
Do you favor easier public access to the SALN of the President, Vice President, and other members of Congress?
Yes, we did it in the Senate.
Next, sir, do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes.
Next, do you favor, ay alam ko na sagot dito, the reimposition of death penalty for drug-related crimes, but for drug-related crimes?
Well, I cannot answer that with a yes or no now. Yes before, but I found the bill to answer the problem of the issue of death penalty. We passed it in the Senate already. It's in the House of Representatives. It's establishing a national penitentiary for high-level drug traffickers and heinous criminals. Ihiwalay natin sila. Parang death penalty na rin yun without the death penalty.
Okay. Should a sitting president be allowed to run for vice president in the next election?
I don't think so. No.
Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
In the barangay level, in the lower level, not in the higher ups. They're not being followed anyway. We should have peace talks. Hello.
And this is, should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Tito Sen, that's a part of our up-close and personal segment, but I wanted to ask this, of course. Kayo po ay tumatakbo ng Vice President, and in the recent surveys, kayo po yung nangunguna. Here comes Mayor Sara Duterte running for Vice President. Is this going to make your campaign more difficult? And how do you feel about her joining the Vice Presidential race?
Senator Lacson and I have already decided, even as early as July, therefore August, we made the decision that we have a program, we have a platform that we're offering to the people. We're focused on that, and our campaign is programmed already, all the way to May of 2022. It does not matter to us who else is running. We've said that before, and we have an agreement that we will not talk about those other candidates who are running, are competing with us in the same position. Ganun yung sitwasyon namin. So therefore, whoever else is running, we are focused on what we need to do and what we need to campaign with and for.
I do remember those statements coming from you and Senator Ping Lacson. One last question, sir, that came to mind. With what is happening so far, it is only November, the elections are in 6 months. This unification formula, initially proposed by Senator Ping Lacson, what I want to find out from you is this. Should this be reconsidered sometime in March, again, or even in April?
I doubt if we should reconsider it already. We've discussed it twice, and apparently those that we have talked with or talked to, they're in favor of unification, pero with them as the lead. So it doesn't sit with us, you know. The original proposal of Senator Lacson was that, okay, all of us will file. We have one or two regular or candidates, and then pagdating ng mga March, we'll find out kung sino yung malakas doon, tayo. But they rejected that. So I don't think it is possible, because during the second meeting naman with the others, ganun din Sinasabi is that they have the best chance of winning. Parang ganun eh. So, I don't think the unification talks will materialize.
Vice Presidential Aspirant and Senate President Tito Soto. Tito Sen, as always, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure. Thank you very much. Good morning. Mabuhay.
Take care, sir, and thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.